Today we're going to be having a look at some new stuff from the folks over at DC Collectibles. This is DC Collectibles Batman Black and White, the Bob Kane Batman. Celebrating 20 years of DC Collectibles, the Batman Black and White by Bob Kane, from the vision of legendary artist Bob Kane, comes this 6 3/4 of an inch tall Batman Black and White action figure, based on Kane's art from the first appearance of Batman in Detective Comics number 27. The Batman Black and White action figure line brings to life interpretations of the world's greatest detective and select Gotham City characters in glorious monochrome from the comics industry's brightest stars. The packaging touts this figure as being 6 3/4 of an inch tall, so we're just going to double check that. Why not? We'll do our research. The figure is in fact taller than 6.5 inches. It's a little shorter than 7 inches. Yes, it would be safe to say this figure is 6 3/4 of an inch tall. Sadly, the figure doesn't come with any other accessory other than the monochromed black and white off-coloring of the display base here. I do notice, though, if you put the figure on the statue, any bit of moving the figure around ends up creating these little scuff marks. I don't know if that was already there at the time that I got the figure out of the packaging. I do notice that there's these little scuff marks that are either there or developed over the course of time. I do like the logo, and of course the off-coloring here does remind me of the original animated series Two-Face, which is kind of cool. Singular peg, and the figure can stand atop that. He only has one peg hole, though, on the underside of his feet, so it's pretty safe to say we know exactly which foot is going to go on top, and just kind of pegs in place like so. Really, the figure doesn't necessarily need a display stand. He stands perfectly fine. It's sad, though, that he only comes with the stand and he doesn't come with any other accessories. Not that he would be able to display himself, though, with any other accessories, because unfortunately the hands that they gave him are defaulted to more a pair of relaxed hands. All of these Batmans, by the way, are not only reimaginings in the monochromed or the monotoned black and white treatment, but also they're re-releases of figures that you had gotten before. This is the first appearance of Batman, which came to us from the DC Direct banner, if I'm not mistaken, and that's celebrating the 20 years. So 1998 to 2018 right now, that's 20 years that DC Collectibles, formerly DC Direct, have been producing figures for, so that's pretty cool. So this particular figure doesn't unfortunately have the means to display any accessories, and by virtue of that, he doesn't come with any other accessories. What you do, though, get is a pretty neat looking figure, I have to admit. I never got the original one that was released, so it's kind of cool to get this one in black and white. There are 3 figures in this line: the Greg Capullo, the Jim Lee, and then the, if you want to call it, the Bob Kane design based on his original artwork. Those are the 3 figures. And of all the 3 figures, this one fits perfectly the idea of having the black and white treatment. It does look quite good on the Cape Crusader. You probably have seen this rubbing against my hand the whole time so far. He does have a rubbery cape, which is split. It's got a big split right back the middle. It's supposed to be there, so if you think that the figure is broken, no, it's supposed to be there. It does give him a nice, rather nice fanned out presentation. You really can't do too much with it, but by the nature of the way it already drapes, it drapes with an actual nice flow to it. It doesn't just simply drop down on the sides. As for his face, being the first appearance Batman after all, his ears, you'll see notably, are fanning out to the sides, almost like a fork, rather than having them straight up. Very angular as well as the front of his cowl, and probably something that you see right off the bat. He's got a big scratch, or something, on the side of the face. I always say this, results may vary and mileage may vary. Your figure may not have that. I just so happen to be the lucky one to grab this figure, and it's got a little scratch on the side. Other than that, paint for the most part is generally pretty clean. It would be hard to make a mistake or come up with, a lot of messy paint on a gray and black treatment. There's not really a lot of bleeding you have to worry about. If anything, just missed areas might be your biggest problems. Missed areas, I guess, you get a little bit here. Utility belt gets, it almost looks like it was not 100% finished. It gets a little missing paint a little bit here. Other than that, I don't really have too many problems with the paint. My biggest problem would be just the scratch on the face, but again, mileage may vary. Your figure may not very well have that at all. One thing I do like, though, is that the heads have ball joints. I can't 100% say this because I never had the original figure, but I don't know if the original figure had ball joints. It'd be interesting if they have now incorporated that, because specifically for the first appearance of Batman, it's perfect that you can get an angular head motion. Sure, you can have the head also up, but I think it works so good having the head straight down like this. The rest of his posability, unfortunately, especially when you start looking at the legs, is very much DC Direct. You've collected DC Direct back in the late 90s, which a lot of these figures first surfaced. You'll see that common trend is probably still consistent to a lot of those figures. Now, the first appearance Batman, however, I'm wondering if they may have tweaked some of it. Again, I don't recall him having the ball sockets in shoulders, but very well that may have been the case. So let's go through his posability. His head, as we've already discussed, is on a very generous ball joint. You rotate the head around. To some extent, you can angle it back and forth, and probably one of the nicest looking hinge joints, part of the ball joint, of course, but one of the best hinges where you can bend the head straight down. And that has such a cool presence to it. The shoulders are also on ball joints. I, for some reason, thought that they were on just initially hinge joints, but I could very well be incorrect by that. So ball joints on the shoulders. The arms rotate back and forth. You got a swivel on the bicep. Unfortunately, just a hinge on the elbow. That's all you're really going to get. And you're going to get a rotation on the hand. Before I also forget, too, some small little touches that they added to this particular figure is that you can see the bottom, not the cuff of the sleeve, well, I guess it would be the cuff of the sleeve, has a little bit of texturing on there. A little small thing, but I appreciate that. Also, you got the gloves there too. If this was full out color, you probably would be treated as well to, I think, purple gloves, as well as the interior of the cape would have been a different, like a purple color as well. Anyways, the legs also hinge. This is basically where the limitations sort of start happening. The legs hinge back and forth, and you got to also bend at the knee. That's really it. But at the very least, I'm happy that you get a ball joint in the head, and you also get ball joint socket shoulders, which may or may not, like I said, have been there with the original figure release. The Batman black and white figures are now currently available in toy stores, so if you wanted to pick these ones up for yourself. So far as I know, the line is only 3 figures, and they're all Batman. DC Direct, of course, and DC Collectibles have encompassed more than just Batman, so maybe we may get other characters falling within that 20 years, the 20 years that 1998 to 2018. I really like the Bob Kane Batman here. I've always really dug the design of him. He's very drastically different from the Cape Crusader that we're getting nowadays. I really do like that design, and now giving him black and white, which is really what the figure was intended to be. I really do like the look. The look of the black and white on this sort of design Batman works extremely well. Sadly, he doesn't come with any sort of accessories, but he does come with a half display base. Does remind me of Two-Face, so I do like that as well. This one is, I think, a very successful figure. Don't know if that's going to be the same when we have a look at the Jim Lee and the Greg Capullo Batman, but those will be in future videos, so stay tuned for those. In the meantime, though, today we were having a look at the Bob Kane Batman black and white figure, which, like I said, is now available at comic book stores. These were just released. At the time that I was shooting this video, these were released about 4 days or so ago. I think the comic stores started to get them. So they are available now, so if you guys are interested, pick this up for yourself. Make sure you hit that little subscribe button down below, bunkos. That will guarantee that when new videos are hitting this channel, you'll always know, and you'll be able to give them a watch. Speaking of getting a watch, if you could do me a solid, when you're finished this particular video, or really when you're finished any one of these videos, head over to my main page and scroll down the sections that say videos. The one section that says videos. See if there's anything that you may have missed along the way. Always appreciate when you guys check out older videos, because sometimes YouTube, as you very well know probably by now, YouTube's not the greatest when it comes to notifications. Sometimes videos fall under radar, so you could hit the bell notification, which I don't know is 100% effective, but the most 100% effective is heading over to the main page and scrolling down the video section. So again, see if there's anything that you may have missed along the way. We're going to have a look at the other 2 Batmans, so those are going to be coming up in the next couple of videos, so stay tuned for those. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.